Shall we go for it?
Go for it.
All right. So you're still standing? Well, I've gotta hand it to you here, parade. You thought it would be a soft landing? No, it doesn't work that way. Tighten up your purse strings, it's gonna be a long week or two. And if you're still standing, you better stretch now. You got a long road ahead of you. Ho, heave ho, away we go. So you thought you would catch while the catching's good. Oh, then a big one got away. So you thought you would get while the getting's good. Oh, but you didn't get it anyway. Oh, heave ho, away we go. Ho, heave ho, away. One step forward, one step backward, one step forward. One step forward, one step backward, one step forward. Oh. So you thought you would get while the getting's good. Oh, but you didn't get it anyway. Oh, heave ho, away we go. Ho, heave ho, away. One step forward, one step backward, one step forward. One step forward, one step backward. So you thought you would get while the getting's good. Oh, but you didn't get it anyway. Oh, heave ho, away we go. Ho, heave ho, away. One step forward, one step backward, one step forward.
All right, Korel, I can't take
Vicky,
this is Korel.
You're gonna take it.
Oh,
You're
that's
gonna
right.
like it. You're gonna be happy you had
That's
me.
what he said. All right, I'm sorry, I can't help it. This is Korel Tunador. If you don't know that already, oh my God!
If you don't know that already, what the heck?
Then what are you doing here?
Well, just can't listen to guitar.
well, no, they could be fans of the road taken. We have. I'm trying to see who's here. Wait, I have to give a shout out because this woman, Kimberly Ann, said that she was going to get Wi-Fi on the plane just so she could
They
watch
don't
the
have
show.
Wi-Fi on the
So,
plane.
Yeah, they do.
It's totally fake. Have you seen the 9/11 truther stuff? They do not have Wi-Fi.
We've been on JetBlue. They have Wi-Fi on the plane. But okay, so let's see who's here of your friends. Brad, Elaine, Lori Nelson, Bruce Dichter, Stephanie Weaver. Hi, David Myers. Anyway, a lot of people are watching. Korel. What's the name of the song? And where can people find that?
That song is called Heave Ho.
Yes.
And I played it with one of my bands back in the day. So
Okay.
they can email me at my website and I will send them a version. Because I've got a couple records out, but I've got a ton of stuff that is not recorded.
I had to take out 2 copies of your CD because I've totally destroyed.
Oh, right on.
I've totally destroyed this one. But No Tomorrow's Korel Tunador CD, and I only have Early Mourning on my computer. I don't have a physical version.
Really?
I have a physical version now.
Yes.
Wait, careful with it. All right, we need you to. Okay,
There
so
you go.
here. You know, I never had this. Okay.
No, they don't even make CD players anymore, so why are they in my
You know,
bag?
you know what? I don't even have a CD
I know.
thing in my thing or in my car. But Harry can do it for me. So Early Mourning is the other one. And I was listening to Korel all day today, and I was just telling him that I really think you need to write a Broadway musical, a rock Broadway musical, because if Elton John and Sting can do it, Cyndi Lauper can do it, you can do it. A few of your songs really lend themselves to that. Because you're a really great storyteller.
Thank you.
And what's the Artichoke? What's Artichoke?
Oh, the Town of Artichoke.
The
Yeah,
Town of
also
Artichoke
not
is
released.
like-
I remember that almost all the way recorded, but not released. Yeah,
That's
it's
really-
like a 20-verse folk song,
It's really cool.
and it's basically, I call it Romeo and the Grapes of Solitude. So it's like the love story meets the lickety-split wagons going west. And
You have some amazing...
you read 100 Years of Solitude, right?
No.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
I did not.
It is. You are about to.
Okay.
It follows this South American family through about 100 years of just trippy, flowery writing and weird,
Wow.
surreal, magical drama. It's really beautiful. So, kind of melded those into a little song and
Give a little taste of the Town of Artichoke.
kind of like that.
It does. It's
Woo-hoo!
great. But you also your whole love song things. Is it called This Is Not a Love Song? What is it
Oh,
called?
the Out of Love song.
The
Yeah.
Out of Love Song.
We can do more than one song.
We'll do more. We'll do more music later. Before we get really into things, by the way, I want to say hi to Zoe Moon, who, because if it weren't for Zoe, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
My soul
Zoe,
sister, yeah.
Yeah, Zoe connected us. She married you, didn't she?
She married James. But
No,
she
didn't marry
officiated
James
my
yet.
ceremony.
But she officiated your ceremony, right? And so it just so happens that our sponsor, who we love, Rick Smokey, made the Zoe Moon calendar that we're in, and he also made my
James.
tissue box.
Look at
Yes,
that.
she
You
didn't
think
marry
that's
James
funny?
yet, but I think that's probably coming. And my business cards, Rick Smokey, Quick Impressions in Chicago. We love you, Zoe Moon. I love Zoe made this for me,
Oh, wow.
and these are
That
not
looks
all
like
my
her
children.
living room.
They're not. They're everything. Zoe is very identifiable. By the way, Zoe Moon is like a world-renowned astrologer, and she is the best. There's like not a decision that I make without asking, like, when should I make the phone call? When should I pitch this or whatever?
She actually went back in time and mentored the woman who was Nancy Reagan's astrologer. And that's pretty high up there. You have security clearances, temporal waivers, all sorts of things you have to do for that.
Anyway, she made this, and it kind of has like a little crystal ball. But somewhere on here you exist, because this is pictures of like everybody who did Women Who Write for the first few years, and so you're on here somewhere. And then also I wanted to give a shout out to Nicole Venables at the Ruby Begonia Salon, my hairstylist, who I finally saw, and I'm so happy. And she has these great products. This is like a Love Your Dry Locks leave-in. This is a purple shampoo for us blondes. This great spray. And all of her stuff is available at the Ruby Begonia Salon in Studio City, but it's also available at friendsbeautysupply.com. And her
she make
stuff
me
is
smell
great.
good?
She does. Her stuff smells really good. And she smells really good, and she's really fantastic. Nicole Venables, love her. And I love you, and I'm so happy that you're here. Korel, did you do Women Who Write just once or?
Once. Well, twice. We did the one here in your salon.
Yes.
And we did the one up in the middle of the Redwood Forest.
We did it at the Henry Miller Library in Big Sur, and Mike Nesmith came out of retirement to perform. That was the first day he performed in, I believe, 17 years.
That was really trippy seeing him. It was cool.
Wasn't it?
Especially because it was all electronica and weird, you know?
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then right after that, he did a little tour of Europe, and then he rejoined the Monkees right after that happened. So it's because of us.
What he wants to do at that point. I sure would rejoin the Monkees.
And so actually, Mike and Mickey are out on their own this summer. They're going out just the two of them. Yeah. So that's coming up
and they're not
very
calling
soon.
it the M&M tour because
They,
the rapper guy
was not like
yeah,
that.
phonetically. You can trademark phonetics as well. So
Can you?
yeah, oh yeah.
Can But okay, so anyway, so yeah, so we have a little bit of history, and you know, I was trying to figure out when that was. That was like at least 6 years ago. I'm thinking that was a while ago.
But I'm only 19.
Yes, there you go. Okay, so we want to know about when you were 19, or actually before you were 19. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Korel plays. I called you instrument fluid.
Oh,
that's the new terminology instead of multi-instrumental. I'm guessing that's more politically correct these days. Guitar, keyboard, sax, accordion. What was first?
I grew up playing piano.
Okay.
And
were you forced to, or did you want to?
We were forced to.
Yeah.
But there's, every kid sort of wants to, but when it really comes down to it, what kid wants to work every single day when they're, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have to be forced to, in the same sense that anyone who does karate or soccer, no, you signed up, you're going to practice,
I made Harry take piano.
Yeah. But it's good. Kids should take piano. It's good for spatial relations. It's good for
math and science, from what I understand.
Yeah. Not in the direct way that people, as soon as you say, oh, it's a 4 chord, I told you music was math, not like that. But it's about, seeing maybe 3-dimensionally and, counterpoints and...
You're already like way over my head. So how old were you when you started doing that?
Probably 4 or 5.
Oh wow, really little. Okay, and so when did it become not a chore and a pleasure?
Does that happen? No. 2024.
Seriously, come on, you had to start loving music.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course. Probably. When you're a kid, anytime you're banging around and it's fun, it's fun. When you start getting a little older in your teens and playing in bands, that's when it's really fun.
Okay, so by the time you were playing in bands, was piano still your only instrument? Or?
No, I mean I was playing, bad bass guitar in high school rock bands and.
Did you teach yourself, or did you take lessons?
Yeah, no. I mean, actually, the best thing you can learn about as a piano player, especially if you learn ear training and certain things, is a good sense of metaphor. So when you switch around from instruments to instruments, at least on a rock song level, it's.
I'm gonna make you cheat and talk to them a little bit. Because because I looked at the show last week and I was in profile the entire show, and it's I guess it's annoying for people out there. So I'm gonna make you cheat and show your talk to the peoples there.
No, I didn't mean that. You're a kid. You're playing in bands, just having fun,
Okay, but before you got to playing in band, when did you decide, oh, music is a good thing because I can play in a band and probably, I think, get girls, and that's probably...
I think it was maybe, I don't know why I would remember this, because it just kind of seemed like the inevitable thing. There was a point when I was in early high school where I was like, maybe I should go in the Air Force and become a pilot because I really want to be able to fly.
Wow.
And I didn't do that. I didn't want to do that. So music was the only other
I think you made a good choice. Okay, so you're a very little kid, you're playing piano. Do you know then that that's what you want to do?
No, I can't imagine.
Flying planes was pretty exciting. Did you do sports?
Yeah, as any kid does,
But some music kids don't.
Then I would say casually, casually,
Casually. But so when did the passion take? So you're
probably in high school. I think whenever whatever generation I'm from, started playing in rock bands in high school, and at a certain point you heard first few. For me, it was, even though I go back and listen and they're not timeless, but when Jane's Addiction really broke, there was a whole new level of kind of. What the Doors were back in the day, when they kind of brought a little sense of danger, at least it seems like that to a high school kid back in, and there was actually real lyrics going on. And that's what my friends and I were into at the time, and I was like, that's what I want to do.
So were you covering Jane's Addiction?
No, actually, I was playing bass in bands. I went to a relatively, a 1,200 kid high school in the suburbs, so there was only Pittsburgh. And I have friends still that are back there, all I'm in touch with a lot of friends back there. But the size, there weren't like that many high school bands where I was. There was a group of us who played music, and we would play with each other. You know what I mean? So I was.
That's what he said.
You know,
also,
it was a Catholic school.
Oh.
My knuckles had to
Was it
touch
all boys?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that would be fun.
But no, it was just whatever tunes people knew. You know.
So. You just picked up bass and you taught yourself?
Because other people played guitar and just what it was.
So did you
but
realize...
I was playing piano there, and I was playing in the school band, playing saxophone, just because, you know.
Okay, wait a minute.
You
You're already playing three instruments.
Well, no, but it's all that sense of, like I said, it's a sense of metaphor. You know, you're playing.
Yeah, but
in
not
this
everybody's playing three instruments.
Yeah, more people are, I think, than would realize.
I mean, I taught myself folk guitar. I was playing clarinet in the school orchestra, but I was cheating and I was terrible and I couldn't really play. And I wasn't very good at anything.
I mean, you can't play piano in a school band, so give the kid a clarinet, a tuba, a saxophone. It was more like that sort of thing.
So did they choose saxophone for you? Or did
No,
you
I had to go. Actually, I literally had to go through clarinet and tuba to get to saxophone because all these older kids got.
I missed out on the flute.
You play clarinet because your parents have one. You play tuba because you don't want to play clarinet, and they say, well, there's no openings in saxophone. So
there were too many kids playing saxophone.
Yeah, so eventually I was allowed to play that. And then when it was time to get out of high school, I was like, playing bass in a rock band, but I didn't want to be a bass player. I didn't want to be a piano player. And that was the only other instrument. So I was like, okay, I'll go to music school for what? I don't know. And I literally was looking at the box, like, what is your instrument? I was like, saxophone, sure. Yeah.
So was saxophone your primary instrument?
Just through college.
Okay.
So that was what I did most of my So I did most of my studying of actual, like, okay, let's sit for 4 hours a day and play scales and play jazz gigs and that whole thing. But I was always when I discovered Tom Waits and actually really discovered the Beatles and that level of songwriting. Paul Simon's 70s stuff and Rhythm of the Saints, like that was more what I always felt drawn to.
So it wasn't necessarily what you were playing in bands, but it was your personal call. Okay, so and when did you start songwriting?
Around then, in my early 20s.
And
I was lucky to play in an awesome band in Boston. It was all original. It was like we'd play covers because you were at the bar, but we were writing our own music. The same story everyone has, But even then, I was an 18-year-old kid, and given the time frame, it was like, I don't know, lots of three-part. It was almost like it sounds very dated, but at the time, it was almost like a Crosby, Stills and Nash vocals on a Spin Doctors rhythm section with, kind of pop rock songwriting. It sounds terrible. It was actually a really fun band. It was a great band.
No, that sounds fun.
But all the guys in the band were a little bit older than me, and they were super encouraging. Of course you should sing. Of course you should write. Instead of like, no, you're just the. So it was a really, really good group of people. And actually, we're paying it back. Tell my buddy JT, he's up north. JT, John, the drummer, and so his son Oliver is now a guitar player. So we're making sure all of our friends are, ushering Oliver on his way up. He's shredding actually, So I've always been really fortunate in the musicians I've been surrounded with. That it's been pretty, empowering.
You've been mentored.
Yeah.
And you are in turn mentoring.
Trying to, do my best.
And actually, we're going to get to that, but that's a big part of what you're doing now. Korel is becoming like a force to be reckoned with as a vocal teacher, which
I'm enjoying it at least. I'd say that.
No, but I mean, we can't talk about the people so that's really exciting. And for those of you rockers out there who, everybody should take vocal. Everybody should continue to study their craft, whether you're an actor, a musician, whatever, whether you play, whether you sing. And I can think of a few people that I know that would benefit, that are out there singing all the time, but would really benefit from lessons because it uses a different part of your voice. It teaches you skills and how to utilize
I've had several voice students who are not singers.
Who are not singers.
Yeah, no, but we do this stuff, and it, public speakers. I gotta give presentations for my book tour or that sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
Is that a pitch that I need singing?
No, it wasn't. But that's exactly your mentality. It was you knew it was before I did.
But that's good. Actually, I'm going to an ear, nose, and throat because I haven't had the power of my voice for like 5 weeks.
No, that I have really good referrals for if you need one.
Really?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll talk about that because I spent all day today trying to find one.
Okay, I got it.
And okay, that's good to know. So you're a kid, you're playing in bands, you go to college to Berklee, you study saxophone, you're playing in clubs, little clubs during that. do you know this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life?
I mean, at that point, yeah.
You did.
Yeah. It's kind of like I think I'm sure you've run across this conversation with a lot of people you talk to, and yourself equally, because I know this. But like, do you have a safety, or do you put all your eggs in one basket?
Oh, so this is what this show is about.
Okay, yeah, and then the thing is, if all your eggs are in one basket, your basket's heavier.
Thank you. This show is going to be called No Plan B, because I don't believe in Plan B. Because if you have a Plan B, then you don't have to make A work.
Right.
So I am with you that the basket is heavier. There are many people, parental people, that don't all agree with things like that with the arts. But you found success. How long did it? Okay.
There's exceptions too. Like I'm wrong on the details. Trust me. Always count on me to be wrong on the details. But like I think like John Legend, who's a legitimate badass. He's like a master's in business or something. He was totally working white collar, legit job, doing other stuff for people, writing for people, getting it up, and then he was able to hit, and he was able to leave but his day job was like very respectable.
There are quite a few very successful people in the arts that did have like serious day jobs before they shifted, and I guess it can happen that way. And
actually, I agree that the basket's heavier if all of your eggs are in one basket. However, I also, not to hem and haw, but everyone's case is so unique by definition of the word. That it's more just general ideas to think about. But
actually, your one basket has a saxophone, keyboards, guitar, accordion. I mean, so you can play a lot of things. But if I had been only playing guitar, that guitar basket would be heavier than it is. So it's so many ways you can slice any of that, I agree with that, but I also think versatility within your art is a really good thing.
Sure. I mean, that's what I went with, but other people that are friends of mine that all they do is play guitar, they're way more proficient at guitar, of course,
But then you get a gig where they need somebody who can play the keyboards, play the guitar.
There's different places for everybody,
So when did you start to make your living at it, and how did that happen?
I think as soon as I moved to Boston.
Right out of college?
Yeah, like I remember going there the first year and kind of trying to navigate, the whole new, world.
And why Boston?
Well, I mean, I was, as much as I went back to Pittsburgh, by the way, after I lived in Boston, and as more as of a, in an adult situation, I wasn't in the suburb, I was right in town, and holy crap, the level of creative motion there is off the charts, right? But I wouldn't have known that, 10 miles out of the city at age 16. You know what I mean? So I went to Boston simply because I knew what I didn't know, and I knew I had to go where there was 5,000 musicians in 2 square miles. So that's mainly the reason I went there, was to just get into a melting pot and actually see how good players and artists were that I knew that existed. I just hadn't seen it firsthand. So I more had to get there to expand, kind of my thinking.
That makes good sense. And so what happened when you got there?
Well, play music all day long, all night long, go to school, but like by the second year, there's people who go to a place like that and they're so wrapped up in it that they never play a real gig. There's other people that go there and are like, this place just wants to take your creativity. It's you can't teach creativity. And it's like, well, no, you can't. But it's just whatever tools you want, they're there if you want them. So like by the second year there, I was living off campus in Alston and Brighton in Boston, going to school in the morning, immediately going home, going to band practice, going to a gig. So you know what I mean. There's how you take it. Was it
anything like Harry? What was the name of that movie What's the name of that movie where JT? Oh God, I'm losing everything. Where it's a conservatory and it's like so intense, and
I don't know.
The drummer. Do you know what movie I'm talking
Whiplash?
about? Whiplash.
Oh yeah.
How much like I mean, like was it really? It wasn't like
I don't
intense
think
like
so.
that.
No, I mean, you could certainly put yourself in a pressure cooker for sure, but not like I think that was even a high school movie. So there was one teacher who got.
Was it high school? I don't even remember.
So, I think it was. But no, at a place like that, there's way too much going on for any one person to have
that much control.
Yeah. But also.
But how much pressure is there to be like the best?
Well, it depends on what you want. Like I knew. But one thing about, and I'm not kind of for or against Berklee as a college. It's what it is. It's there as a tool, as a tool. Some of the best in the world were literally there,
right,
within, centimeters of you. And I also knew someone who at the end of their first year, they still did not know the names of the strings on their bass. So it's not a conservatory, it's a melting pot. Like, it's just go there, make what you want of it.
Wait a minute, how does somebody get into Berklee if they don't know?
Well, it's not a conservatory. They do
but still.
production. You could go there to be a teacher, you could go there to be a writer, you could go there to be a music therapist probably, or a business person. So they're going to tell an 18-year-old kid who wants to be a studio engineer, you don't play fast enough to get in. No. So when you get in, and pretty much I think anybody can get in there.
Not anybody can get in
so.
there. No.
I don't know. But it's not, but I don't think the bar is, at least from what I've always understood or experienced, I don't think the bar to get in has been as high as it's not as high as a conservatory, there's no question. But because it's not a conservatory, it's a
right.
ecosystem. So they'll let anyone in, and if you're down on the place, you can say, they just want the money. Well, yeah, they do. And it's an ecosystem that you could be there for any number of reasons, which is also true. So as an 18-year-old kid, you could go there and do whatever you want or not. I'm sure the person who doesn't know the names of their strings on their instrument isn't doing well, but they're still there. And I was stoked about it. I was totally stoked because I was like, hey, there's Abe Laboreal Jr. right here, and there's this person who doesn't know the name. Hey, good, I can kind of see realistically what the spectrum is. So I was cool
and
with
so
that.
did you play in bands of other people that you were meeting through Berklee? And
roundabout, the bands that I played in mainly, the ones that were the longer term, like a couple of years each, bands weren't people that I met in school, but they were people that I met through people that I met in school who were maybe a little older than me, or there was degrees of connection. And when I moved out to LA, I knew the easy dozen people who I knew from Boston already out here. So that was really the real reason I went to Boston, was
to make connections.
Yeah, to learn and meet people.
So
I've never been so businessy to think of it like I'm gonna network. Even just saying that makes me like want to change my clothes, take a shower. But that's basically like, I made tons of friends. The first person I met in Boston as a 17-year-old, literally the first person I met, this guy Bill Leffler, is a monster drummer and producer, and he was here when I moved. He literally moved in 3 blocks. I hate the word literally too, by the way, don't you? But he literally moved in 3 blocks from me here in LA. Just the last summer.
That's crazy.
So, he's been my friend now for decades,
Nice.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. But it's crazy and it's not crazy, because maybe he wanted to be near you. That kind of shit could happen.
Well, that kind of did.
Yeah. So what was the first kind of like, okay, now I'm a musician. Now I'm a professional musician. I'm making my living as a musician. How did that happen? Out of school? After school?
No,
before
I was
school?
in school. Yeah,
Still in school?
I would stay up there. I kind of crammed my whole 4-year college thing into 3 years just because I was impatient and I tested out. You can kind of like go at your own pace, you know what I mean? So I was just living there playing in bands, or the main band I was in, we made a living. We played
And
clubs
so what kind
went
of...
up to Maine, go down to DC,
Covers?
At that point, that band was... It started out as probably 80% covers, and by the time we were done, it was probably 10% covers. So,
Nice. Yeah. And were you writing some of the songs?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what got me into it. Was the people I've always been surrounded with.
And what kind of stuff were you writing back then?
Oh, geez.
Were you folk? And because you have kind of a alternative folky rock pop thing, I would say.
Well, it was that same circle of friends that introduced me to Tom Waits, for example. It was like a piece of me that I didn't know was missing was finally added, So yeah, I definitely have that aspect.
And what were you playing? What was your primary instrument in those days?
Well, I was only playing saxophone and singing harmonies, and then in those bands, I was like, they were like, well, how come you're not playing guitar yet? I'm like, thank you, you're right, why not? So let's learn some chords. Let's start playing guitar.
Oh, so you started learning then?
Yeah, I didn't play guitar till I was in my early 20s. Yeah.
Oh wow.
As a thing, because who wants a saxophone in a rock band all the time? Nobody, not me.
And so you weren't doing keyboards then?
No. I didn't get back to that until one of my bands, when I moved. I was kind of done with Boston. Nothing wrong with it. I love it. I love going back there. I just felt like it had run its course. So in order to move to either Colorado or LA or wherever I thought I might be, of course you need a car, which in Boston you don't need. So I moved back to Pittsburgh thinking I'd just get settled, move out west, and ended up being there for 5 years because the level of musicianship was so high.
Wow.
And I was one of my bands, actually the band, that song I played earlier, I had a band called Crisis Car with my super good buddies, and we did that song, and we would do unplugged gigs, or acoustic gigs, and so to change things up, I would bring out my, you know Yamaha CP70 is? It's like a freaking 200-pound stage piano, like the real deal.
Wow.
We would and I was like, hey, playing keyboards on these acoustic songs is kind of fun, so I kind of got back into it as a young adult.
As a young adult. Okay, so you're in Pittsburgh for 5 years, so then what happens?
I was playing in...
Are you making like a good enough living that you're...
I was making a living, which in a place like that, the charm of a place like Pittsburgh is that it's sort of insular. Like out here, almost everyone I know is in the music scene, you know, and probably actors, all their friends are actors, but in Pittsburgh it wasn't big enough to be only musicians. But so there was a lot of cross-pollination. So people are going and raiding the steel mills for these, you know, 800 pounds metal scraps and building huge sculptures. And then the same friends are fire eating belly dancers, then the other friends are, you know, so I was playing in a ton of different bands in a ton of different scenarios, and so I, you know, play accordion in our friend's hillbilly acid band, and I play guitar for my friend Jen's songwriting
when did accordion
band.
happen?
Just out by accident. You know, it's just
Okay,
it's a little lung piano. It does happen by accident. Come on, it's just a
accordion. That sounds like a really hard instrument to learn. That's two different things going on.
Not really. No, it's okay.
When did you start doing that?
Just again the same time. I was, you know, making some acoustic recordings, and I realized that someone had a $20 one they scooped from a, so you know, that would be a cool on this acoustic tune, and it just kind of came in the repertoire. But I use it just as a songwriter, you know, long tones and piano, you know, parts and stuff. So I was playing a ton of jazz.
I was still on accordion?
No, I don't write on. Use it to track on records or play acoustic stuff. And in rock world, I've used it a lot of times on radio shows. You go to a radio station at 9 in the morning or 6 in the morning. One person has an acoustic guitar, the other person has an accordion, and singing in the mics. You know, it's actually really handy.
Wow.
No, for sure, yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard that, but I really like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're doing.
So I'm playing jazz gigs here. You know, rock gigs here. My own songwriter gigs.
So jazz gigs, you're doing saxophone.
Right.
Yeah. Then you're doing the rock stuff, and you're doing
with friends. Yeah, depending on what the situation is. You know, some of the super indie experimental rock bands. My friend Jen Wirtz, there was the Pittsburgh band Rusted Root is buddies of ours, and so Jen, who I've been tracking with now, emailing tracks back and forth from the East Coast, tracking in my studio now. You know, I played with her in her band, playing guitar, and in my own band, you know, doing the songwriting thing with my friends. So.
And when you were in these other bands, were you lead singer? Were you a background singer? Were you both?
It depends on the band. In my own band, we had me and my one of the other guys, my buddy Frank. We would do co-lead singing. You know, so it depends on whose song it was, or some were full harmonies. So I really like having that relationship with people. A lot of harmonies.
Yeah, that's really cool. And did you study voice?
Only back then. When I'd been singing for years in bands, and I know she's not watching. I don't think she has Facebook, but our favorite voice teacher from back there, this one Beth Clausen, she totally changed my life. And she ended up getting a lot of students because people were seeing me play gigs and being, you know, wow, that sounds a lot different than it did 3-4 months ago. So, yeah.
It's amazing what that can do. I mean, I want to put a little, we're going to talk about your vocal coaching later when we get to it, but I want to put in a pitch for that because I know Samantha, my daughter, her life completely changed when she started taking singing lessons. And she did it really late, right before she auditioned for college, but her voice completely changed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. So, and I think we were talking about this a little bit before, but no matter what level we're at, continuing to study is essential.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the voice world at least, there are mega pro level singers. Everyone, I can't say everybody, but people.
I mean, Patti LuPone, Betty Buckley.
Yeah, but it's not like it's everyone wants to learn and study, but it's also kind of akin to having a personal trainer. It's a muscle group. It's anybody who would go to the gym to keep in shape would also go to a voice coach to keep in shape.
Makes perfect
You know,
sense.
it's not like you're going there to take a test or we're going to audition for Juilliard. You know what I mean? But it's like, hey, how you feeling? I don't know. I'm feeling kind of okay. Let's go through it. You know, let's work it out. You know, so it's just a lifestyle thing.
So is that something that you've done throughout your career?
No, on and off.
Okay.
Never. It fits in spurts. You know, when I moved to LA, there's one of the high-end guys out here I'd gone to see a few times. Then you go on tour for a while, and you come home, and kind of fits in spurts until the last couple of years.
Is
when
it
it
stuff
got
that
really
you
dug
take
in.
with you? I mean, because once they give you the exercises and stuff, I mean, are you good to you warmed up a little bit when you got here? Or do you take care of your voice? Is it something that you do?
You mean, do I drink caffeine? No. Do I smoke crack? No, I don't.
No, but I mean, do you, like, if you study with a teacher and they give you a bunch of exercises, so when you're backstage and you're about to go on, do you do that shit before you go on?
Oh,
or-
absolutely.
Yeah, you do.
Mhm.
Okay, you take it seriously.
And
okay.
you hear most. Actually, I should say there's some notable people that I've been on tours with, in other bands on tours that don't warm up at all. They just go out and do it. Some people are just.
Wow.
Either they don't feel like they need to, or they just never had an issue, or maybe their stuff they sing is within their range, or maybe they're super, supple and fit and haven't had an issue yet. That's hard. Who knows? Not everyone does anything.
Right, that's true.
But I know a lot of people who take it seriously. And that definitely warm up.
Okay, so you're playing in these bands. You're in Pittsburgh for 5 years. What happens? What's next?
We just kind of just felt like I was spinning my wheels, not creatively, but just I wanted to see the world, like very much out of freaking fire to see the world. And as much as the bands I were in were really family projects at that point, it just, they kind of eventually spun out kind of the, revving the car engine with the clutch in. And it's just, at some point, it just had to go west.
Go west, young man. So you came out to LA and you're in your early 20s.
I don't even remember.
You're young. You're mid 20s at best.
Late 20s, yeah. Late
Okay,
20s,
and so what happens when you get out here? Do you have a gig when you come?
No.
You just come.
Yeah, I mean, I had my older sister is out here. You met her? Yeah, we talked. Or
We've
connected.
We've connected, but we haven't met yet.
She plays music. Her husband is a awesome, high-level rock musician.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
Was he then?
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
He started Tool. Baltimore. He was played bass in Tool. He's a wonderful musician. Film scoring, badass stuff. Super talented.
Nice.
So I had family out here, and they had a network of friends who at least introduced me to some people to, hopefully, return a phone call, basically.
So how long did it take when you got out here until you started? What did you hook into when you got here?
I got an audition about 3, and again, also I came out. It's a weird thing. Like I came out here to write and start a band because I've never been a hired gun mentality.
You're not a session. You weren't a session
player.
player.
No, I've never been it's never even been in my frame of mind, honestly. I've always just been in bands with friends and started a band that was our project, But then coming out to LA, it was really hard to get any sort of job that was, normal, whether it was, God forbid, anything,
It's still really hard.
Yeah, anything. It was really hard to get any job,
right?
Except I was getting offered tours. So I kind of fell into touring for other bands because, well, why would I not?
Okay. So how did that start?
I got an audition. Someone called me and said, "Hey, do you want to come audition this weekend?" And I was like, "Of course I do. Nice to meet you." So I ended up getting that gig. That was I told you about the Hanson guys.
So so Korel played with MMMBop. We love that.
I'll tell you about that song. By the way, I know the Hansons have a rabid following and always have, but they're super cool. I really like them. So it basically,
they seem really cool.
Yeah,
I always
and I met a really great guy. This guy Pete Griffin. I don't know who watching here has the same circles or not, but if you Google Pete Griffin, bass player, he is fucking ferocious bass
Okay.
player. So he and I got hired to play with them at the same time, and so we went to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We rehearsed with them every day, and they're super nice.
So wait,
and
what
then
were you playing with them?
Guitar and keyboards, it's the
Okay.
same sort of idea.
Uh-huh.
And then their whole record company at the time, their parent company, kind of had one of those, early 2000s record company gets bought, someone, whatever.
Uh-huh.
So they actually shelved the whole thing and started their own record company. So I never actually went on tour with them.
Oh.
I just rehearsed with them for a month. And then they were like, oh, we're putting this on hold. We don't know when it's going to start back up. So by the time they were ready to start
But was
back
that
up,
like your first good payday?
relative to
Okay.
not working in LA before, yeah, I guess, so their thing, I only actually hung out with them and rehearsed with them every day, and then I never toured with them or played with them. So I never actually
And so they
played with
weren't
them.
like kids anymore. They were like
No, they were in their mid-20s. They've all got kids now,
Mhm.
but I think Taylor his daughter was a baby at the time.
Mhm.
So yeah,
The drummer was a baby when they started.
he is hard hitting.
Yeah.
He is a really hard hitting drummer, and he's a crazy good singer. Yeah. So here's the thing about MMMBop.
Yeah.
Okay, you think, and by the way, they were so young that there was some co-writing and producing on that early record, but they actually wrote MMMBop themselves. And you think, okay,
They were like,
yeah, and you think maybe you underestimate the song because it says MMMBop, like, okay, who takes that seriously? But an MMMBop is a measure of time in their young minds. So if you listen to the lyrics,
Uh-huh.
it's in an MMMBop you're here and an MMMBop you're gone. So that song is actually about the frailty of life and how quickly things pass before you realize it.
okay, I never knew
I know.
that.
You would never know that unless you were sitting in Tulsa, Oklahoma for a month with them.
Wow. Who
Isn't that
knew?
awesome?
But I pop songs are okay. What's the
Yeah,
matter
totally,
with pop songs?
totally,
Pop songs
totally.
are great. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
But
what
that's intense.
that's what I took away from my time with them.
Okay, that's good
All
to
3.5 weeks of it. That's what I learned.
Okay, so after Hanson, what happens for you?
I looked first off in LA, and then there was a guy from Mississippi who had like kind of a really cool Americana, modern production Americana vibe going, really great songwriter, this guy Charlie Mars, who I did like a year of a super grueling year tour with. It ended cool. We did, we opened for REM. We did there was a lot of real stuff, a lot of festivals and stuff, but a lot of it was, when you talk about slogging it out in a van in the deep south, like it was a grueling year, but again, sort of learned a ton. And
So opening for REM, so are you
that was
doing...
by the end of it. Like we did everything between. Like we played bars and clubs, and then the festivals. And
Okay,
the
so
shows,
now
and then
festivals...
played with
so-
Citizen Cope. Did you know Citizen Cope?
Uh-uh.
Oh my God, write that down. That dude is ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah. So I came in contact with a lot of good music on.
We're
that.
filming this. I don't have to
Yeah.
write it down.
Oh yeah. Right.
I'll
Go
be
back.
able to
Where's
play
the
it
time
back.
code? Yeah. Citizen Cope is one of the best. One of my favorite bands.
So, the first time you play, I'm figuring opening for REM, you must have been on a pretty big stage and
Well, they were doing theaters. Yeah, it was
They were doing
theaters. Yeah.
So, the first time you played on a, do you remember an experience of realizing like this is becoming bigger time? Like a
That's a good
festival
question.
or a theater or?
That's a really good question.
Because it has to feel different playing in a bar than when you go play in a festival and there's
Right, yeah.
'cause as far as the eye can see, there's people.
Yeah.
And so when you stand on a stage for the first time and have that experience, did you take it in?
I think so. I mean, anything you're doing doesn't happen in an isolation. It's all a series of things that come and go to that point. So
Right.
any festival you go play, you knew it was coming for a couple of months, and you've done a lot of stuff in between. So it's kind of all part of your day to day when you actually do things like that. There's definitely seminal moments in anyone's experience. So things pop out in my life, but I don't know if I'd have to meditate on what was the first or the this or the that, because it's all a progress.
Yeah, it's
you know?
it's less important about what was the first as it is what was a moment that really stands out as something, oh my God, I'm doing this.
There's been a few of those, yeah.
Okay, like tell us.
Well, I mean, a lot of stuff we did with Charlie. Well, we started doing a bunch of TV shows. So you do morning shows or radio shows, and when Charlie would play acoustic guitar and I play accordion, we do morning show. So that stuff's cool.
It is cool.
Oh, we're really doing TV shows for finally. Okay, that's good. Validation. We're doing it.
Uh-huh.
And then his tour wound down, and then that like the week after his tour wound down, I got called and I went from playing piano and singing harmonies in a Americana rock act, and then immediately I was playing guitar in Jada Pinkett Smith's metal band.
Okay, that's
it was
crazy.
super, yeah.
So how did she from that say, I want that guy?
Well, it was the same. There's a local LA. Everyone in LA knows Barry Squire. He's like the, I wouldn't say headhunter. He's more like the connection maker.
Okay.
Super good dude. He played drums at the Monkees.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you should meet Barry. You should interview him. You gotta interview Barry Squire.
I would
you have
love
to. For sure. Tag him.
Okay. You're gonna have to turn me on to him.
Yeah, no. He's. I love that. If the fact that you don't know him, it surprises me. But you're more literary. But he's every single musician in LA.
I was New York, but I did music in New York. I was.
Oh, okay, yeah. But so every single musician in LA knows Barry. He's got the Rolodex. So he would set up auditions. Not deciding what to set up, but the band would say, "Oh, we need a bass player. Okay, I'll send you 10 bass players. Okay, also we need a drummer and a piano player. Okay, I'll set that up," sort of thing. So both of those first couple came through him. So I think Jada's.
So, but how did he know, based on the fact that you're doing this Americana pop, that you can do this hardcore?
I don't know.
Rock.
Well, I don't know, and I'd have to go back in time.
Were you doing any of that in clubs?
No.
No.
But I think that when I remember of playing with her for the first time, the actual audition thing for hers, I don't think anybody knew what to expect of it because her stuff had shifted so much, and the audition was, and the people I knew who went to it weren't metal players either necessarily. Some of them probably were that I didn't know, but it was, we got in the room with the band and it was math rock, like full on prog rock, detuned down to B flat, okay, we're gonna do this in 5, and this in 7, and here's the riff, and then stop, here's the riff, here's the groove. And the audition was, they taught you 2 songs by ear and you had to learn it immediately and play it with them. And so that's kind of something that, your training and riff and identification, and so I guess I did well enough that I played.
So basically she was looking for musicians. I mean, people that just had chops.
Heavy, they were called Wicked Wisdom, and they're heavy duty. And my big brother, Philip Fisher, the band Fishbone, Fish is the drummer from Fishbone, was the drummer. He's fabulous. They're high level of musicianship. Rio, the bass player, they're all really, really heavy duty, and they had come from a really heavy R&B school, but now they're playing drop tune metal. Like, it just, I don't know. I kind of walked into that.
What year was that? That was
2004 or 5, something like that. So we did Ozfest, and it was pretty interesting. That was very different from what I'd done the year before.
I'll say, and you're playing guitar with her,
right?
You're doing crazy shit.
Weird, yeah. It was fun, enjoyable.
What did you call it? You were calling it not cutting. What were you? What's the term that you were using for I don't?
Shredding.
Shredding.
It was kind of shredding music.
Shredding.
Yeah, it was definitely shredding music a little bit. But it was fun to play. It was probably more fun to play than it was to listen to. Probably. Like, as the style that I listen to, like, I like the Beatles. I won't listen to, I don't listen to heavy metal.
Not too much,
I don't listen to math rock. But it's like, hey, we're going to pay you to play math rock all year long. Okay, that's educational.
So you did it for a year?
Yeah.
And
then right as that went down.
Okay, but wait, while you're doing that, are you doing bigger venues now?
Well, we were doing Ozfest. It was a lot of.
That's...
I mean, that was the biggest thing we did. It was basically we played for a year, but it wasn't full touring. It was a big summer tour and then spot dates. But I like Jade as a badass. She's awesome. She's so awesome. I really like her.
That's so great.
She's
okay,
intense.
so is
I'll tell
she?
you a couple stories. I would not fuck with her. she's hardcore.
I get that.
Yeah.
I could see that. Did you meet Will?
Oh yeah, he was around. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's intense. He's really, how like people have presence. There's no question. He's got presence.
Yeah.
He's
He's got X Factor out the wazoo.
Yeah.
And did he ever sing with you guys?
No.
That would have been fun. Okay, so after that, what happened?
That wound down at the end of the year, and the Americana guy that I played with, his manager, this guy Pat, is the same manager for Goo Goo Dolls. He'd been with them forever, so they just happened to need someone doing keyboards and whatever else. So that just kind of dovetailed into that.
And so the Goo Goo Dolls are already they're at the height of their.
Yeah, they had been. I guess they'd been. They'd been around for a long time at that point. It was probably about let's see, 94, maybe not quite 15 years into them already having, not their backstory, but really broken. You know, they've been big for a long time, yeah.
So the kind of stuff that you're doing with them, big venues?
Yeah, the summer tours are always huge. They still are, actually, you know. Touring at that level, regardless of that band, but any band on that level, you know, it's a lot of regional and seasonal. You know, like summer tours are always bigger, you know.
Right.
You're doing the, you know, outdoor sheds, you know, amphitheaters and stuff in the summers. That market isn't there in the winter. So you might do theaters in B markets or head overseas, or, you know, it's a very like cyclical,
and
regional, seasonal.
So are you
things
also
involved.
doing? I imagine you've done a stadium or two in your.
We've done like, I remember we went to South Africa for Nelson Mandela's, you know, big stadium stuff, you know, stuff.
So come on,
We've
so
done-
that has
we
to
did,
be some.
We've done some stadium in, what was it? It was like a football game in London when the American teams went over. We've done some stuff like that, yeah.
I can only imagine that playing in a stadium has to be.
Well, a lot of
memorable
TV
experience.
stuff happens like that too, but it's actually more, less, I find at least it to be more almost like surreal, like you're watching on TV. It's not very, you know, I'm much more nerve-wracking.
You don't feel connected.
Not in a way that you would feel, you know, I don't know, intimidated by the size. It's almost like you're just there with your 4 buddies and like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, let's just play, you know.
So have you played a venue that's been like, oh my God, I'm playing?
Well, everyone says Red Rocks, and of course, you know, or we did some taping. We did a live at Abbey Road taping, so playing at Abbey Road, not just visiting it.
That's crazy.
That was one of those things. I was like, okay, this is awesome.
Yeah.
For sure. That's one of the, you know, very select level ones.
How about New York? What venues have you played in New York?
In the summertime, they're always doing Jones Beach. In the wintertime, or for different reasons, sometimes you play benefits. Like a million and random things come up. You know, I remember we played Irving Plaza. There's Roseland. All the general things you could think of.
Did you ever play Madison Square Garden?
We did like, well, you mean the ice skating rink for the Rockefeller, Christmas tree lighting. Some of that stuff is very New Yorky, but it's not like not like a traditional gig. But that's pretty seminal, you know. Did the Macy's Parade twice. That's pretty.
That's cool.
Interesting, you know. Like it's not a real regular gig, but it's one of those like, this is happening. This is interesting.
Did you like have to? Did you like do the whole parade?
Yeah, you have to, because it's like a train. Any individual float, I imagine, is just one small cog in that machine, you know. And you have to kind of like wave like Miss America.
Right. Was it cold
because
the year you
it's
did it? Because
freezing.
sometimes it's like crazy cold.
Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah.
But it was super fun.
Yeah, well, it's super interesting. Yeah, it was fun. Not interesting, sort of. This doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
You know.
Any other moments that stand out is like, okay, I'm doing this. This is cool. Like you've done television, like not just those morning shows, but you've done night shows.
Well, I mean, like with Katy Perry, we did like, she hosted the European MTV Awards. So I started playing with her because they asked me to. She was hosting.
You left the Goo Goo Dolls. Did Katy Perry?
Because it's cyclical, so there's heavy years, then slow years. So on one of the slow years, she had asked me to come play with her. So I did a whole world tour, went around the world about 3 or 4 times with her.
Okay, so now she was at the height of her career.
She was at an interesting place because she was, I don't know, well, she's gotten so big, I don't know if you could say she had made it to the height.
But she was already,
but
she was huge.
She's eclipsed that height for sure.
That's
but she
true.
was already huge. But the interesting thing, and I heard this about, I'm not comparing anything I've done with the Beatles, but I've heard this analogy about the Beatles.
Okay.
Or other artists, that, you know, stuff gets booked in advance.
Okay.
Right? So the stuff gets booked on where you are now. And
right.
then if an artist blows up, there's still obligations that have to be had.
Okay.
So, and I heard that, I just heard that story about the Beatles, like they were massive playing, you know, wherever, like to fill out obligations, you know.
Right.
They might be huge and they still have to play some club date in London, you know, that sort of stuff.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
But with Katy, you know, her Kiss a Girl in Hot and Cold had gone bonkers worldwide, but there was still a lot of theater tours. It wasn't an arena tour all the time.
I see.
Because there was a lot of theater stuff that was booked. So you'd go play a festival to 100,000 people, then you might be playing a theater to 3,000. You know what I mean? But I actually, and I super love Katy, but I really actually feel like as a player, I kind of played with it in the sweet spot of when I would want to do it, because, and I'd play with her again, I've actually subbed in on the tour after one when it was bonkers size.
Right.
But when we did it, there weren't extra vocalists and there weren't dancers and there wasn't choreography.
Uh-huh.
It was just a 5-piece rock band.
Oh wow.
Her being the fish playing guitar and singing, you know. And the dudes in the bands are still my super close friends. And so there was no, like, we would extend stuff and take solos and it was feedback and it was jamming and she was all into it and it was very, you know, the band was tight, but it had an option to be very loose and
how cool.
real and raw and rocking.
I would not imagine that.
It was awesome. You know,
wow.
and we did with her, we did one of my favorite things I've ever done was the MTV Unplugged we did. If you ever Google that, it's one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Okay, I know about that. And you had something to do with her refashioning her music
or
something?
we all did, the whole, I mean, her as well, obviously, it's her thing, you know. No, but yeah, I mean, it was very collaborative and wholesome, organic, you know. We had the toy piano and the glockenspiel and the delay pedals and, you know, Josh played up at bass and Patrick the dude baritone guitar and, you know, it was very, and they brought, it was in New York, so they brought in a string section and a horn section and it was really awesome. And we were like, that was very, you know, seminal moment for, you know, like, this is actually MTV Unplugged. I knew that from back in the day, you know. From
before back in the day, you were like a kid when that started.
So that was very cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. And she's a good lady?
She's awesome, I like her, yeah.
That's good to know. So you spend that, so you're doing some arenas with her, you're doing some huge gigs with her?
A lot of that year, a lot of the biggest stuff was, you know, massive TV show stuff. And what I didn't get to say earlier was that I started with her because her band, she was hosting the MTV Awards, and that's a big deal, obviously.
That's a big deal.
And so her band was the house band to play in and out of commercials. So they brought me in to augment the house band because I could bring several things. So that's how I kind of became friends with them.
So that has to be cool too.
And Paul McCartney was there presenting.
I was going to say,
like, it was in Liverpool actually that month, you know.
God,
and that was when Obama got elected. So there was like we were in the hotel lobby, and there's like Kid Rock just fuming over there, and we were like, Obama! It was awesome.
That's crazy. But I mean, like the MTV Awards, there have to be like the Paul McCartneys, like just heroes all over the place.
And I got to actually meet him and shake his hand, and we just walked off stage, so I didn't have a camera. My heart was broken.
My friend Ricky Bird, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the Blackhearts. He was playing with JoJo and he got to play with Paul when he was inducted, and he has lots of pictures and videos.
Wow.
And, oh my God, that's crazy. So you have gotten, so any other heroes you've gotten to meet that have stood out for you?
I'm sure, yeah, that's a good question.
Huh.
I have a friend from back home, he's probably watching this guy, Paul, he sent me an email, he was like, hey, tell me who's the biggest douchebag you ever met. I'm like, dude, come on, man. First of all, I probably wouldn't even know how to answer that and not be like, have my grandkids be sued.
Yeah, I would never ask you.
But I honestly don't even know how to answer those questions, because a lot of times if you meet someone, it's not like hanging out with Paul McCartney, but, you know, I met him. I at least got to verify he's a real person.
Well, but, you know, the walrus is Paul, so we don't really know that that's Paul.
That's
that question, you were too young to go through all of
no,
that.
I know all about it, yeah.
You know about it. I can remember it
Oh,
firsthand, and, you know, we were having those debates literally every day, looking at the pictures, comparing them.
I played the records backwards, and as a teenager, it freaked me out.
No.
They're not saying cranberry sauce. They're not saying cranberry sauce.
You know, and the thing is that there was a really good case to be made for the fact that it wasn't Paul.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
it would have, and, you know, have a wonderful Christmas time. Okay, maybe it's not really Paul, but there's a lot of other stuff that he's written that says maybe it probably was still Paul.
Yeah, I think we'll give it to him that it's Paul.
Yeah.
So okay, so you do this year with Katy Perry, and you end up.
We did the Grammys, which is awesome, super cool.
Okay, you have to meet people at the Grammys.
Yeah, I think so. Oh my God, I was walking down the hallway.
Yeah.
You know when you see the three little bears, right? There's like baby bear, mama bear, and daddy bear. And trust me, this is not like hanging out with these people, right?
Okay.
But I happened to be walking down the hall from stage to dressing room, whatever, and it was like we were walking in a line as if you choreographed this, and it was Morgan Freeman, me, and Tom York from Radiohead. I was just like...
That's like one of those when they put weird people together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure, you know, each of them had their security guy who was like ready to jump me or something, but I was just going to my dressing room. But it was a very much like, you had like about 7 steps in line with these people, and you start to notice, this is not normal. Okay, then someone breaks off, and like, okay, back to earth.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Was there any great music on the Grammys that year? Any
Well,
great
Paul
performances?
played that was when Dave Grohl played with him. I think Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift sang, and Taylor Swift had just started singing live.
Oh, wow.
So she was really not a strong singer.
Oh, really?
And I say that not to be critical,
Uh-huh.
because to be appreciative, because she then worked her ass off, and she's obviously a super great now singer.
Absolutely.
Not to say she wasn't a talent or a writer or whatever, making great records, but she hadn't really ever sung live before. Those are the big takeaways I remember from that.
That's
I
a pretty
think
cool one.
that year, unless I'm making this up completely, because who cares?
No one's going to go home and do the
Robert
homework and
Plant
check.
sang.
Oh, wow.
Robert Plant and Alison Krauss may have sang that year. That was really badass.
Yeah,
I saw them somewhere. It may have been them.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So have you gotten to, you're talking about like running into and not hanging out with, have you I'm imagining over the years you've gotten to hang out with some heroes.
A little bit. Yeah, I think so.
Anybody that stand out that oh wow, I'm getting to do this. This is like a cool perk of this.
Okay,
gig.
well, in Wayne's World,
Yes.
how, of course you do,
Of course
right?
I do.
How they go, and they hold the old air guitar to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mhm.
I actually was as part of a group conversation. It wasn't like me and my buddy Brian May, you know what I mean? But we were hanging out, and Brian May was there, and I was like, we were just asking him questions. I was like, hey, so, I just asked him a random question, like, so do you still practice guitar? And he's like, oh man, no, not. Of course, everyone says, not enough, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I mean, sometimes I feel like if I practice really hard, I don't get it. I have to just do it. And he's like, there's this part in Bohemian Rhapsody, and he air guitars that same part of Bohemian Rhapsody, but just conversationally. Like he's like, he's like, this run, if I practice it, and I was like,
He
He's
doesn't
just
know
scary.
that's. He doesn't like know that's
I don't
Wayne's
know.
World.
I don't know.
That's too funny.
When I laughed and fell off the chair, he had a clue something was up, but it was interesting. That was funny.
That's pretty crazy.
But you understand, like just like my friend back home who's like, well, tell me another story. I mean, 99.99999% of everyone's day is like, okay, let's go to rehearsal, let's get the groceries, let's do some work.
Yeah, but there are those moments
There's
that
moments,
it's
but they're
like,
very-
oh my god,
yeah.
I get to. This is
Yeah.
the life I'm living. Like this is
Yeah.
pretty.
I just did a video earlier today. My friend Casey, she's a 17-year-old singer-songwriter. We just filmed a little live video for her on top of a rooftop in Hollywood.
should
Like
make
it's
pictures.
funny, like stuff like that happens, But I was also at the grocery store earlier.
Okay, so real life. So you're a dad now. Like,
Yeah.
all right. So before we get to now, so you leave Katy Perry and you go back to the Goo Goo Dolls,
Right.
and
For
so
another almost maybe not quite decade, yeah. So just go that band. They never stop, ever.
So what is it? So when you're playing with the Goo Goo Dolls, what's your schedule like? What's your life like? Is it summer, winter tour? Like what's?
Well, usually with them, this is just like the way the business has been. There's a couple really heavy years of a tour cycle,
Right.
and a tour cycle, which I'm sure people know, like a band puts out a record and tours until it doesn't make sense to tour anymore.
So, like, what
a
does
brand
that
new
mean?
means a brand new artist who doesn't sell records
Right.
would tour for 6 months until the money ran out.
Okay.
Whereas Madonna can tour for 3 years all over every little
With one
market,
record.
right? So that's a cycle is just different for everybody. So
Right.
with them, their cycle has generally always been a 2-year just heavy run, and then
So
a
what is
down
it?
year, and then a slower year.
What is a heavy year for?
Maybe being gone from home like 9 months out of the year.
Oh wow!
Like
And you're touring all over the world.
yeah, generally speaking. Every case would be a little different, but it'd be like maybe you go away for 3 weeks, you're home for a week, then you go away for 10 days, then you're home for 3 weeks, then you go away for 13 weeks, and then you're home for, you know what I mean? It's chunks, legs,
Right. And so becoming a dad
Yeah.
kind of changes.
3 years ago, everything started to change.
So I know. Well, I don't want to say her name because I don't know. I don't want to out her.
Oh, I don't need. Well, my wife doesn't really do the Facebook thing, and I don't really put family photos up there.
I
You know
know.
why? It doesn't, because everyone has their own thing. I know
Right.
everyone puts their baby pictures online, but I'm telling you, those kids are gonna go for a job in 20 years, and the person will be like, "So when you were 7 and you were naked in the bathtub and you broke your arm." I don't know. I just don't want to enable those people.
Well.
That's just me. That's just me.
Harry and Samantha.
I also feel
they-
uncomfortable being here, but you know that.
Thank you very much. Don't
Yeah.
you feel more comfortable now?
Well, yeah, now I do.
Yeah. But yeah, my kids have grown up on social media. That's because that's just the way it is. But they're social media kind of people.
Also,
too,
my wife
so.
has the police department background, so she has seen every single creepazoid firsthand. She was a probation officer. Like, she has seen it all. I mean, before that, she's been a crime scene investigator, probation officer, parole, bond commit, whatever, all that stuff.
Wow.
So she, like, between my general reticence and her, like, firsthand, like, seeing the dark underbelly, we just don't do much of that, you know.
But okay, so it's not on the social media, but it is in your life that
Of
it's
course.
become a reality that you're dad. So your priorities shifted.
Yeah, I've been wanting to make, you know, music from my home studio.
So you've been making that a reality for yourself, and so
And it came through the Goo Goo Dolls too, because the newer drummer Craig, his good friend is this guy Dave Stroud.
Okay, so tell us about how your life sort of.
Craig the drummer, his good friend Dave Stroud is one of the most elite level vocal coaches in the world, and he's here in LA.
So who has he coached that people might know?
There's actually a lot of people that I know he's coached that he doesn't advertise, and I don't know if he
Does he
keeps that
advertise
private or not.
anybody?
Well, yeah, I mean, just like on his site, he doesn't advertise.
Right.
He has reference, you know.
Right.
Like worked with.
Referrals.
I mean, he worked with Michael Jackson. He's,
Oh, wow.
you know, Natasha Bedingfield. She's his dear friend. She's one of the best singers in the world.
Wow.
But you know, there's people. I don't want to trip up and disrespect
Right.
his privacy, but because I know there are people that don't.
Of course.
You know,
but I'm sure he's got people on his site.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Ben Folds is his buddy, like, but then on that elite, and Ben Folds is, you know, as elite as it gets to me, but on the actual, you know, vocalist level, he's taught like some of the, I mean, I just have to look at his website. I mean, he's heaviest hitters of all time, for sure.
Okay, so you got connected with him.
Because then John from the band started going, you know, doing workout sessions with Dave. You know, oh, Dave's a cool guy. And she's like, oh, you should meet Dave. And Dave started a whole, he's been a huge impetus in starting a whole branch of, you know, or bringing into context a whole branch of vocal science. So it's not just, there are vocal teachers who are, I'm a vocal life coach. You know, let's come to me, let's talk about the lyrics. You look great today. And there are those guys, people in LA, and they probably get results, and they're following, it's like, I'm thinking of one of them who I won't say, but like, you go to that person's website, and it is every celebrity you've ever seen in your life, and that's the focus of the business, right?
How you look and...
No.
Oh.
I mean, he's a real legitimate vocal coach, but I will say that, like, several elite level singers that I know personally, and myself, I've been to lessons with this person, and you go hear their warm-up routines, and it's exactly the same. So, meaning it's legitimate, like what they give you to do for your workouts.
Right.
It's legitimate, right? But the stuff that my mentor Dave does is so laser focused on every individual.
So on you, that's
and
right.
based on, you know, okay, well, the frequency of the pitch crosses the formant of the vowel in your throat, and so we want to tune your vowel to, you know,
Wow.
navel. You know, I was working with somebody the other day. He's like, getting advice from him. He's like, well, you know that when you sing an E on this certain, the epilarynx, you know, is going to be closed shut. You want to avoid that. I'm like, yeah, Dave, you do. You want to avoid having the frequencies
I don't even know
closing
what
of the
you're
epilarynx.
talking about.
You know, so I've been intrigued by vocal science, and I've been studying it for a while now. So it's like meeting Dave and studying with him as a singer. Like I would take lessons with him. You know.
Okay, so how long ago did you start taking lessons with him?
Probably under a year and a half ago maybe. I'm
And
not
how-
sure. I'm not sure
how-
what month is this? But
We're in May. So
but,
how, like, did you see a change right away?
yeah, but I've been doing his warm ups because we from mutual friends, so I've been aware of him.
Oh, I see.
And then started seeing him as taking lessons for my own singing, and then mentoring under him as
So that
a
you could
teacher.
teach.
Yeah, and so that's always been my, don't want to be gone from home 9 months out of the year sort of routine, and it feels so fresh to me, and it feels really just gratifying. Like instrumental lessons, a lot of people teach, and that's awesome. But voice lessons are a whole other level of personal interaction and psychology, and I have a client who comes who has a couple main career focuses, not music, but it's massive stage fright, just speaking in front of people, and that person who's not a rock star but is absolutely every bit as gratifying. You know what I mean? It's really awesome.
So are people, someone like that, are you coaching anybody like that can't sing?
Well, that person who I met, one of my clients, could not sing a note when we started. Thought he was tone deaf. And you know, like very few people are actually tone deaf. It's like rarer than, I think, than color blindness.
Okay, so wait, so he
just,
he needs to be able to come out of himself because he's a public speaker, and so he.
No, not even for a job. This person has just wants to be a singer, wants to sing, but just
How did he
sweats
find
bullets. That's a good question. I'd have to remember
Okay.
about that. It's been a while now. We've been working together about a year.
So he never sang. Singing,
He tried to sing, but it sounded. It's someone that if you would think was tone deaf if they sang.
Okay.
Plus, they're sweating bullets. So, but we've just, take
Work through it.
just be real and be focused and be present, and we work through it. And the person's totally singing, and it sounds awesome. It sounds great, and we're working
Really?
now on like tonal placement. So, big dude with a super low voice. You're like, you think it's the guy from Lebowski. You hear, hey dude, but then when you sing, because it's psychological pressure tightening things up. So we're working through that to bring their placement down. Because like even if you sing, hey Vicky, 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 you know what I mean? So people place things back in their head sometimes out of psychological not wanting to
fear,
control.
of
Yeah,
course.
so bringing that person down and that's
or
what they-
singing from the right place. People
Yeah.
are singing from here, or
So there's a lot of those aspects of it that you would never, on my side of things, you would never, to any degree at least, you could, but to any degree you wouldn't have that, like teaching piano or teaching guitar. It's not that sort of thing. Whereas voice lessons are so much more human interaction. And funny thing, the cool thing that I do all these other things, like I have other clients who I'm helping them finish their songs, or, okay, my friend Casey who I played with earlier, she's already an artist, so I help her with her guitar playing. And she's tracking and posting these badass live Instagram videos, so I'm able to do more than just teach singing, which I'm trying to learn at all the time.
Are
I get
you
better
saying,
at that.
Korel, that anybody can sing?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. Anybody can sing.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm the authority on that, no.
No,
but yeah,
but
no, of
that's
course anybody can
interesting.
sing. Yeah, no.
Can anybody sing well enough to sing?
Well, can Perry Farrell or the dearly departed guy from Blind Melon, Shannon, can they sing well enough to sing? A lot of people would beg to differ. Like, very tight voices, but people loved it, so therefore the answer is yes. Am I not being evasive? That's a real answer, right?
Do you think that anybody is teachable?
Yeah, of course. I think anybody who wants to learn is teachable. Yeah.
And so because there might be people that have always wanted to sing, not to be singers, but like that guy, just because
Life
they
enrichment.
wanted.
Why not? It's music.
Right.
Music came before spoken word. Why not? Of course, everyone should do it.
So that's the focus of what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Are you still writing songs? Are you still recording your own music?
Yeah. Slower right now. It's a good thing that always comes in waves and phases. But yeah.
But this is what you're cultivating.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just awesome. And I have clients like on the East Coast, all over the place. Just because one thing is Skype really works well with voice lessons. It's really
Skype
awesome.
works great with everything. I work with writers on Skype. Skype's fantastic.
Yeah.
We can't talk about it, but Korel showed me his phone of somebody that he's working with that's huge. So there's that too.
Part of a team effort. It doesn't even matter. But yeah, no, there's. It's been really educational. I'll just say that. Yeah.
That's really cool. So if you're out there and you want to improve your chops, or you want to start having chops.
I'm glad I came, Vicky.
Well, no, I mean because a lot of the viewers of the Road Taken are musicians, and there might be a number of them that aren't singers primarily.
Well,
that
anybody
are,
who wants to make a living in music needs to be a singer. I would say any band member. I mean, if it's your own band, you can do whatever you want, but you still should be singing.
Everybody should.
And I have there's a band called the Hawkeyes. My friend Jay in Pittsburgh. I know him from doing Skype lessons with him. But we talked about having sessions with his whole band to get their all harmonies up to par with his singing.
That's very cool too. So bands out there that you need all the harmonies to get up there.
Well, I mean, as I talked about with him, someone in the lead singer can be singing, let's just make up a word, I love you, whatever, right? Love, and they might be singing love, and the guy in the band are singing I love, and someone's singing love, someone's singing love, someone's singing la. Everyone needs to consolidate their vowel choices, the flavor of the vowel they're on. Why, you know what I mean? So it sounds like one instrument. Everyone's going to start and say, hey you, and it's not, but people might end at different times. So are they considering that as a group? It's an ensemble.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Korel, so before we go, Early Mourning, No Tomorrows, and you can get these. I'm going to give you a link to. It's on your website, and you'll be able to get all.
But the problem is you have to be able to spell my name for that. Literally dozens of people know how to spell my name.
so dozens of people. Where does Tunador come from?
It comes from Turkey at the end of the Ottoman Empire as they were modernizing and switching over to a more modern.
And what about Korel? Where did your mother get Korel?
I think they knew someone when they were younger who had that name. They just liked it.
It's so
my sister's name Gildan. They made that up. They were nuts.
Wait, what's her name?
Gildan. Yeah,
so how was it being a kid, Korel Tunador?
Sucked ass.
Really? Yeah. You had to get made fun of.
Well, I'm trying to think of any actual making fun of. Probably not so much as just the low-level general discomfort and some of the you know what I mean? To some extent you would call it making fun of, but it would just like, yeah, I never heard that one before. Hey, Vicky, you're so fine. You're so fine. Oh, you've never heard that one before, did you? It's more that.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, Korel, before we go, you're gonna play us out with a song.
Sure.
Whatever you want. Tell us what it is and how we can find it. And
well,
let's see.
Decide on it before we know what it is.
On here, Steve McCormick, Matthew Breslin. I'm saying hi to people that are on here.
Wow.
Mark, Zoe's watching.
Mark Ray?
Hi, Zoe.
Is that my buddy Mark Ray? No, it says hi Matt. The kid looks good, huh? I don't know who that is.
Okay.
Oh, that's Matt Campbell. Yeah, those are my buddies.
Those are your buddies.
Look at that. I know people.
They're on
Mike
there.
Russo. I know people.
You know
He's
people.
in Costa Rica.
Say hello.
Wow.
Say hello to the people that you know that are on there.
And he's saying, get the Goo Goo Dolls to Costa Rica. I'll pass on the memo. And Alexander Karyotis. Okay, now we just talked about me giving voice lessons, but you want to go see Alexander Karyotis. You Google him too. He's my friend on the East Coast, and he actually teaches in Texas now, but he's back on the East Coast, and he trains the highest level opera singers.
Wow.
He's the kid who snuck into Pavarotti's dressing room as a kid and said, I want to study. So he studied with his teacher. Yeah, so
wow.
He puts me to shame. People on his level and my teacher Dave Stroud's level, don't put yourself down. I knew you were going to say that. No, I'll absolutely, anybody who wants lessons, I'm absolutely happy to help you, and we'll do really good stuff. Everyone that I'm seeing, it's really enriching. Honestly, God, we will do good stuff. But for me, there's so many levels deeper that I'm excited to get into. And I've luckily, in the same thing community, when I was starting writing in bands, yes, you should write. All of my friends that have been doing this to these deep levels are so welcoming. It's a whole scene of amazing vocal teachers out there.
And I have no doubt that after you're doing this for a few years, you'll be one of those people that people are screaming about. I have no doubt.
I'm just making sure that Alexander writes back, hey man, come on, now looking good. Yes, I made you laugh. Yes, you are looking good. Oh, Ingo Marschwartz. Oh, wow, I didn't realize you could do this.
Yeah.
I gotta get me one of these ones and zeros tabulators.
This is Harry's iPad. I don't usually use it, but see on the Mac, you can't see what people are doing the same way as you can on here.
Wow, I should have been looking at this the whole time.
I know. Well, if there's anybody else you want to give a shout out to before you do your final
Beacon
song.
Theater, I see people that I know from
all over the place, right?
Wow, this is really intriguing.
I know. The only thing is that they're watching you watch. So do a quick scroll.
Okay,
and,
I will. I'll get off
see if
of
there's
it.
anybody else you want to say hello to.
Amy Porta. Hi, Amy. I was in first grade with you. You're right, I was. Art class.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Oh, no, of course. A lot of these people, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Mark Ray is one of my blood brothers. And Clem Rowland, my music teacher from high school, is watching. Holy shit.
Nice.
Clem Rowland got me out of 3 years of college from his music theory class because I went there and just tested out of stuff. Thanks to Clem. And you know what his advice was? And this goes back to Should you have a plan A or a plan B? Let's bring it full circle.
Okay.
Clem Roland,
Yeah.
my high school teacher, the more influential on me than possibly any other human out there, he said to us as kids, he said, no one should be a musician unless you have to.
I like it.
He said, if you can be happy, like truly happy, having any kind of job and still playing intense music and doing your gigs, but if you could be happy doing that and having a job, this and that, and a family, do it. Because it's hard-ass life. He's like, but if you're one of those people who just can't not do it, then I support you. Let's make it happen. So yeah.
That's how I feel about writing.
Yeah, so
Just
only do it
having
if
that
you can't
conversation
do anything.
yesterday.
If you can't do anything else, because you'll just burn up inside, then you should do it. But if you can do anything else, you should.
That's really good. Is
Because
there
you always
anything-
have music, you know.
Is there anything else, since the show is the road taken and it's basically imparting the tools that you've amassed
Billy
and what
Jones?
you've learned?
Uh-huh.
Is there anything else that you can share that's been really impactful in your career or in your life direction that helps drive you, helps move you forward?
Man.
I mean, it's hard to think of those things. I mean, you just
Let me
gave
just get
one.
really smart, really fast for you.
No, I'm serious. Like, is it like that's a piece of advice that you were given that
Yeah.
has made a difference for you?
One of mine, you were talking about, well, this is just an anecdote I heard.
Okay.
This client I have who's like crazy,
Mega.
awesome, said to me the other day, we were talking about practice, and he said, my teacher when I was young said, practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes permanent.
Ooh.
So it's not how much you practice, it's what you practice, because the way you practice makes your habits permanent. It wasn't about permanent skill levels, about if you practice half-ass, you're going to perform half-ass. So whatever you do, do with intention and be present for it.
Wow, I like that.
How's that?
That's perfect.
I didn't make it up,
Oh,
but
but
I'll be happy
that's
to pass it on to you.
Well, but isn't that what all knowledge is? I mean,
Yeah.
how much of it is original thoughts? I mean, it's all a collaboration of
Yeah.
everything we learned from everybody. But that's a good one. I like that. Thank you so much for doing
Yeah.
this, Korel. Okay, so now
This
you're
is tripping me out. This is awesome.
so all right. So here's,
All right,
here's
no
the
more.
latest.
And are we still on, by the way?
We're still on.
Oh, okay.
So now you're going to play us out before we go.
Yes. Okay. Well, I don't know.
So
what to
tell
play.
us what you're going to play for us. He's
Well,
looking at his
I would
set
only
list.
play. I can have a couple of those, super mellow, pretty old songs. And you wanted the Out of Love song. Did you want that? Do you like that
I
song?
love that.
All right. But we're not allowed to give disclaimers. All right.
Sure.
Probably haven't played this song in like 2 years because I have to do other stuff. But I'll play it for you.
Hey,
And if I don't know the words, you can just jump on in.
Oh, sure. I'll take 3 singing lessons first, please.
I actually like this song. So a couple of people have been like, "Who's that about? Who's this about?" Because it's kind of actually
I wondered.
personal. It's
Yeah.
it's completely made up,
Oh, come on.
but it has aspects of different people's influences.
That's a really good question before you
And I
you
know who
play
those
off.
people are.
Do you completely make shit up? As
Only everything I just said for the last hour.
no, come on, but I mean some
Engelmeyer?
songs are like really about like something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
But this one's really made up?
It honestly was.
How did the idea come to you?
I don't know.
Ooh, okay.
I had the music of the thing. Can I play 2? How long?
Yeah,
Can I
go.
play 2 songs?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, because we also made one up. Me and my buddies in the band Crazy Girl, my buddy Frank and Jerry and I, we wrote a song about a lighthouse. It's a love song to a lighthouse. Maybe we should play that one instead.
Do whatever you want.
All right, I want to play a love song to a lighthouse.
Alrighty then.
You seem very nonplussed. Or
Well, I mean, I can't get excited about being in love with a lighthouse,
You
but
can.
maybe I will.
you can because
Okay.
you're a writer, and I think I will say as much as I give disclaimers, and you're not supposed to. I also know when I've done things I love, and these are some of my favorite lyrics that I've ever worked on.
Wow.
So it's a love song to a lighthouse about the prodigal daughter or son returning home to their world. Okay, so lighthouse. Here we go. There she is, out on the ledge of the shore. It's still the same bay as before, where I live
where I swim. She has been burning since I was a kid. Everyone knows where she lives, where I swim, where I swim, where the ships are safe, where I live, where I swim, where the ships are safe, where I live, where I swim, where I live. Climbing up to the top of the tower, the wind is wet and it stings and I laugh. I can see where I live, where I live, where I swim, where I live, where the ships are safe, where I live, where I swim, where I live. Some people say a lighthouse is just a lighthouse. Some people say a lighthouse is just a lighthouse, not mine. She remembers when I moved away. She welcomes me back to the bay, where I live, where I swim, where the ships are safe. Some people say a lighthouse is just a lighthouse. Some people say a lighthouse is just a lighthouse. Some people say a lighthouse is just a lighthouse. Some people say a lighthouse is just a lighthouse, not mine.
I had to just do a little love button for that. Oh my! All right, but you know, now that we're going, will you
I like
sing?
that song.
Will you sing the other? I love that song.
Yes.
Will you sing the other song for me? Sure. Yeah, because I kind of have to hear it now before you go. Because now
Okay.
now I'm ready for a concert.
That was my buddy Frank Spadafora and Jerry Busick and our band Crisis Car, Mike and Randy. It
That was a
awesome.
really beautiful
We had
song.
an awesome band. We loved it. I would like to go back and finish all the tunes we never recorded. Yeah, but now this tone I don't remember. We'll see.
Doesn't matter. Whatever, you'll fake it.
Yeah. I'm making up that she left me. I think I left her. I don't remember. I'm making it up. Who cares?
No, you can do it. Yeah,
This is the Out of Love song.
I love this song.
Well, I heard what I needed to hear and proceeded to finish my beer. Words have two meanings and politics have leanings, but you're looking for someone to steer. And we could have 20 winks, or we could have 20 sighs. We could have 20 years or 1 year 20 times. And there's nothing left to say, but we both keep talking anyway. The honeymoon is over. In 2 weeks you'll be older, and we both had a really long day. And I sit and look at you, you sit and look at me. I tend to mirror you, and you tend to mirror me. Well, I could stand to hover over you, and you could refrain from hovering over me. I sit and look at you, you sit and look at I tend to mirror you and you tend to mirror me. Intentions are printed like cash, and all things that come shall pass. Where we'll lay to rest depends on what we do next. Remember, all things that come shall pass. We sit and look at you, you sit and look at me. I tend to mirror you and you tend to mirror me.
Thank you so much for playing it. Thank you so
The
much.
last time I played that live was in your living room like 2 years ago, I think.
Was it real?
Probably.
Hey, it was a lot longer than that when you were in the
Really?
living room. Yeah, it was
Okay.
like 6 years. It was like a long time ago.
Awesome.
But I'm so glad that, and we're going to have you back to the living room
Okay.
because now you'll be in town.
Yeah.
You'll be able to do it. Korel Tunador, check out his music. If you're looking for a vocal
Yeah. Coach,
Coach?
instructor,
Are
buddy.
you a vocal life coach?
You betcha.
Vocal life coach. And next week, all right, ready for this?
What?
Michael Cole, Mod Squad.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
And his book is called I Was the White Guy. And anyway, so he'll be here, and I am going to have my teenage fantasy played out in front of everybody. I've got my Peggy Lipton picture all ready to go. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us on The Road Taking.
Thank
We'll see you
you,
next
Vicky.
Wednesday. Thank you, Korel.
Thank you.